New Thought Media Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And now, here's Lindsay.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to PIP, Practicing Infinite Possibilities. And as we take a breath today, I think that we need to rejoice that there's infinite possibilities. I think it's really important for us to understand that. And where are those possibilities? They're in the universal mind of God. And how do we reach those infinite possibilities? Is through the tools that we have, which is our brain, right? Our brain, our mind. So today I'm going to go in and talk about Stoicism. And we started that last week. But this week, we're going to talk more about Stoicism, but I also want to talk about real life. Okay, Stoicism is real life. It's a way and it's a philosophy, but there's a lot going on in the world right now. And you're like, should I be stoic when there is a war going on? What does that mean? Should I practice universal love? Should I practice mindfulness? Should I practice Stoicism? Should I do prayer? The answer is yes, 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 yes. And we're going to talk about why all these things need to be done by you and by me right now, right now. So let's get into the real world. I, this morning, was texting with one of my very best friends. And she is a school teacher in Los Angeles. And she teaches at a private Jewish school. So she wrote to me today. This is very early in the morning. I'm at work already. We have extra security today as a viral video from Hamas on Wednesday called for the killing of all Jews today. I think there is a lot of fear and many families will keep their kids home today. I'm bringing love to all people, and I'm starting with you. I love you. That is what you do. You recognize what's going on. You don't buy into the fear of what's going on. She shows up to work, and she leans in, not into hate or anger. She leans into love. Love. What can we do? We can love. So my quick response back to her, I'm going to read it to you. They're doing psychological warfare, and they're kidnapping all the Jews and the people around the world. We cannot let them win. We cannot let psychological warfare be the tool through which our technology is actually destroying our own consciousness. Hold the light. Hold the love. Know we are all in universal God's hands. And this is a lesson we need to learn, not to buy in, a lesson we need to learn, not to buy into other people's fear so they can control us. I pray for the peace for anyone who gets ruled by extremists on any level. I pray for the higher consciousness and love for all to prevail. Have courage and have concern. We want to be aware. We don't want to be kidnapped psychologically. We have the ability to have good control of our own thinking. Thank you for sending me love, and I'm sending it back. This is why I love to learn about mindfulness. This is why I love to learn about Stoicism. This is why I love to learn about New Thought. Because the power is in our thoughts. And now with social media and the internet and so forth, psychological warfare is so much easier for anyone to do to anyone, not just in times of war or religious persecution, but racism, neighborhoods against neighborhoods, bullies against bullies, whatever it is, it can be done. And in Stoic philosophy, it says, let me just put this little up here right now. Make sure I get the right banner because I think it's this one. Let me see. This is it. The Stoic school started in ancient Greece, the philosopher Zeno, who had a strong influence in the areas of self-mastery and self-control, which is much of the part of the concept that we share. Oh, you know what? Who said that? Oh my gosh, I put up the wrong banner. But I want to say, you know who said that? Who wrote that? Eric Butterworth, who was definitely a New Thought unity teacher. So he leaned into Stoicism, and he knew that basically the bottom line is that we have to be aware of our thinking and control our thinking. What you think about, you bring about. Right? What you think about, you bring about. So if someone comes in and gives you fear and you accept the fear, you accept it, you accept the pain, you accept the anger, you accept being upset about it, then they have won, because they ultimately are putting you back into your lower level of consciousness. Your lower level of consciousness. So I want to go back up to a long time. This is the brain that I've shown, right? And here you see the lower brain. That's always on. Everybody has that. That's your fight, flight, freeze response. That's your heart regulation. Then we have the yellow part. That's the middle part of the brain. Those are all the things that we have learned. We have learned from our culture, from our religion, from our parents, from our experiences, good and bad. We have learned fear. We have learned rage. We learned social bonding. All those things are in our middle brain. If we activate our fear and our amygdala in the lower part of the brain, we go to old habits and old cultural norms on how to react to it in our middle brain, and we will cycle back and forth. The only way to do new reprogramming is over here in the red part of the brain, if you see it, which is the higher level of consciousness. This is where we have empathy, we have compassion, we can see other people's point of view. Psychological kidnapping is when someone gives you fear and you cycle in the lower and the middle part of the brain, and you go back into old caveman ways of reacting. And then you follow. You don't lead, you follow. So let's just think about some of the people that don't get kidnapped psychologically from fear. Jesus, Buddha, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela after he got out of prison and led. And there's so many more. Eckhart Tolle. There's so many more enlightened people that exist on this planet today that know that they're not going to go back into fear and the reaction of fight, flight, and freeze response, which is a human response, into solving a problem. Hate will generate more hate. So this is what we have control of. We have control of our mind. We have control to bring our thinking to the higher level of consciousness, to go beyond the fear. I'm not saying there isn't pain out there, and I'm not saying that you're not in pain. The war in Israel has very much affected me personally, and I'm practicing. I had a friend that was in Israel, in Tel Aviv, on the day the bombs were dropping. I have many, many, many friends that have families and friends in Israel as we speak. I love all people, and I do not want people to die. I don't want the animals to die. I don't want the earth to die. You can see I feel this very much and very strongly. But I know if I go into the rage of fear, anger, and pain, then I will not be part of the solution. I have to go into the higher consciousness and allow my mind and my heart to bond together and pray for peace. And I don't mean just in Israel. I mean in the Ukraine. I mean in Russia. I mean in North Korea. I mean in our neighborhoods in the United States of America. To live, to have our level of higher consciousness has to start with me. If I can't say that I can stand in the truth and the light, how can I point my finger and ask someone else to do it? Does it take practice? Am I worn down? Is it tired? Yes, yes, yes. This is all very, very true. But it is so important because humans repeat history. Why do they repeat history? People say, oh my God, we're doing this again. We've been doing this since the beginning of time. It's because we have that fight, flight, freeze, lower consciousness built into us when we are born. And it is our personal responsibility to do the effort to get past that so we don't react like a caged dog. If you put a dog or any animal in a corner and box them in, they will bite you, even the nicest ones. You have to be able to allow people to grow, give them space of love. I don't really know what the answer is, except for that we have to move to higher consciousness. And it starts with me. It starts with me. And this is one reason why I have gotten so much into Stoicism and really enjoying and understanding in it, because the Stoics, as Eric Butterworth said, really were the beginning. I don't want to say them because Buddha and Taoism, there's so many cultures that came to the same revelation at about the same time. But in our Western culture, in Greece, Stoicism came out. It came out from Socrates that went to Plato, and from Plato to Aristotle, and then from Aristotle came the birth of what we call Stoicism. And it's the concept in Stoicism is that you have to lean into what you can control, and you have to stop trying to use your energy trying to control things you can't control. I cannot stop the death toll in Palestine, in Gaza Strip, or in Israel right now. I can't physically go over and stop it. If I could, I would. But if I sit there and just watch it on TV, and all I'm doing is making and running myself down into pain. But what I can do is pray for peace. What I can do is remember that the higher consciousness of light and love is the answer. And that starts with me. I have control of that. That's what Stoicism is about, is that what do you have control of? Stop giving your power away and letting other people control your mind. That's what New Thought and Unity and higher level of consciousness is about. It's not about giving away your power. It's about claiming your power in the present moment, right now, with love, with generosity, with kindness. You want to see someone who's done this? You just look at that Dalai Lama over there. His people have been murdered, displaced, and destroyed. And with grace and with love and with dignity, he says there's a higher and better way, and violence isn't the way. That's what Martin Luther King said. That's what Gandhi said. That's what Jesus said. That's what Buddha said. We need to take that into our hearts and know that you have the personal power of your own mind to tap into the higher consciousness. I gotta take a breath. Thank you, Wayne. Prayer warriors. Yes, not prayer warriors. Warriors. And I don't mean war of the battle of death. I mean of higher consciousness. Right? That is what I mean of higher consciousness. I really believe so very strongly that this truly is the answer. If you go back and you see countries that have been ripped apart by apartheids, or in India, they still have their problems. Don't get me wrong, because we're still human beings with the amygdala and the lower consciousness being born all the time. It is our job, as me being 56 years old, to bring the message to the youth much faster than I got the message. That it's their responsibility to learn to go to the higher consciousness. But new people are being born all the time, and new people are struggling all the time, and they have to learn how to get past their lower consciousness to their higher consciousness. Now, Stoicism was born out of Greece. And let me tell you, it was called Athens at the time. It was filled with war, slavery, torture, famine, disease, people dying all the time. It was filled with lots and lots of pain. It was not the Garden of Eden at all. At the time when the Republic, what we would know that grew into democracy, was formed in Athens, okay, about 350, 500 BC. We're talking about a long time ago. Only around 30,000 people in Athens could vote. And then there was like another 60,000 women and children and people of other nationalities that were free that couldn't vote. And then there was 100,000 slaves in Athens. So there was a population close to 200,000 when democracy was born, and only 30,000 could vote. That is not my democracy. But that was the birth. And it had to evolve and have evolution of it. And that's same with conscious thinking. Stoicism came from Epictetus, which I love so much, who was a slave for 30 years. Now, he was one of the many philosophers. He was a slave for 30 years. And he said, the way you survive this, the freedom you get, is from your mind, not from the outside. If we allow our outside influences dictate our happiness today, you will never be happy. There is suffering and pain everywhere. And when I mean happy, I don't mean Disneyland happy. I mean centered balance with love, of seeing the miracle that is happening every day in your children, in the plants, in our technology, in the love I have for my parents, the love I have for my siblings, the love I have for my husband, the love I have for my friends, my children. It is a beautiful place to live, and we have been given this incredible opportunity to go to the higher consciousness. And there are many things that can teach us and help us practice. And Stoicism is one of them. So let me go down to the 4 principles of Stoicism: wisdom, temperance. And I added self-discipline, because some people now translate it as self-discipline, justice, and courage. These are the 4 principles of Stoicism. Wisdom is to know the truth. The Buddha said you need to know the 4 noble truths. The first one is to know the truth, to understand the world as it is, to study, to gain knowledge. That's we leaned into last week. Last week we leaned into courage. I have these out of order. We leaned into courage. What is courage? Courage is to face your fears, to face and not to live in denial. Stoicism isn't about living in denial. It's about having the courage to see the world as it is and hold the pain of it, the courage to hold the pain of it and still do justice, still live with temperance and balance, still execute wisdom. That's why I love it so much. So wisdom is knowledge. Courage is to be able to face the information that is happening on in the present moment. The courage they're talking about is radical acceptance. Radical acceptance to see what is really going on, not from your filter system, not from your filter system as an American, white, Caucasian, that's the same, woman, mother, 6 foot tall person. Not as that, but as a human being, as a higher consciousness and a tool of love, as knowing that we're all interconnected, the courage to see other people's points of view, the courage to be able to not always be right, the courage to say that you can learn more, tell me more, ask more questions, the courage to give what you think is important to you away to someone who needs it more because you know it's the right thing to do. That's awesome. That kind of courage. That kind of courage. So today, I'm just going down here. Here, I want to put this. This is the courage. Epictetus, who was the slave, the philosopher's slave, he said, don't try to escape hardship, embrace it. By doing that, he's also saying, don't forget. Don't forget the pains of the past, but you don't have to be traumatized by the pains of the past. Learn, grow. Take that manure of the past, plant it in the ground. Use it as nurturance to grow something better. But don't forget. Don't forget. We don't want to forget. We can see over and over and over again that war only makes more war. Murder only destroys people. Hate only gives hate. Don't forget. That's the truth. It's easy to hate when you're being hated. But can you rise up and allow love to be inside? All right, there we go. Thank you. Thank you, Wayne, for supporting me today. I really appreciate it. I really do. He wrote, I like well-spoken people. That we're all well-spoken people. I just want you to know that, because this higher consciousness isn't mine. It's not yours. It's ours. And it's always here. It's always here. We have to tap into it. Embrace it. Be the light for someone else. I was with them in a group yesterday, and we were talking about this. And in the group, about 95% of the people happen to be Jewish. And they said, what do we do? I said, well, if someone is in great fear and in distress and watching the TV and just living into the trauma of the war, then the people of hate is winning. So grab their hands, tell them to turn off the TV and say, let's pray for peace. Let's send blessings to all people who need it. Let's hope that we can pray that there is a ceasefire and the innocent can be helped and moved out of the way. Taken to the hospitals, medicine given. Let's do that instead of just watching the TV. That we can do. We can do that. And when we do it for Israel and we do it for this war, we should also be saying also in the Ukraine and any other war, even people that are warring with themselves. I pray for peace for them all, wherever it is. All right, temperance. Temperance is a big one in understanding Stoicism, because what it is self-control. And that's what we're talking about right now, to be able to live in harmony and equanimity. And that's very, very Buddhist philosophy too. Temperance means that you are not being kidnapped by your amygdala. That's what he's talking about, or that's what Stoicism's talking about. That's what Buddhism's talking about. And I think that's what Jesus is talking about, that you're not being kidnapped by your emotions. You are allowed to have emotions. You can be disgusted. You can be angered. You can be saddened. You can go through grief, all that, but you're not going to be kidnapped by those emotions. So they end up bleeding into your actions, and you're perpetuating those emotions out, because then you send up karma for it just to return back to you. What you think about, you bring about. So it's where you have radical acceptance of allowing yourself to be angered, or to say, this is enough. And say, I am so appalled by this. I am so upset by this. This is hurting me. You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to feel that because you care and you love. But then you take a breath and you say, then what do I have control of? I have control to express love instead of hate. I have control to just relax and try to see if I can see a higher level of consciousness, so I can take wise action instead of just react. Temperance is where you take the sacred breath. They knew it in Greece 2,500 years ago. They knew it in when Buddha came out, which was about 2,500 years ago. They know it sacredly in prayer, in Christianity, in Catholicism, in Judaism. To return to that sacred pause of equanimity, of love. And the last one that is so important for us to discuss right now is justice. Because that's really can be even a trigger, that word justice. How is this just? Oh, murdering, killing, enslaving, torturing, none of it is just. But humans do it, and they've been doing it from the beginning of the time. So Stoicism said we have to lean into justice, the desire to do what's right and what's fair, to treat others with respect and compassion, even when they have wronged us. What? That's what Jesus said. That's what the Buddha said. That's what the Dalai Lama has said. That's what Nelson Mandela has said. That's what Gandhi has said. That's what Mother Teresa has said. Now, I am not saying to be passive and be a victim, but I am saying that everyone is a human being, and we need to bond together with love to go into justice. I have a very good friend whose significant other was killed by a drunk driver, and by someone who was 18 years old. And the court came out yesterday, and the bottom line is the gentleman who was driving the car is now 19, and it got 10 years in jail. There all different kinds of things went on, but this is it. And a good behavior would be 6. And he and his family said, that's just. To me, that is so much love. They know that their loved one would not want that person to rot in jail forever. And they are praying that the time that he is in jail for 6 years, that he will do something good and honor and will serve and get out and make the world a better place. They're not giving up on him. Even though he was driving the car that killed their loved one. May they be our role model. May peace prevail. May people grow. May love win. I am speaking from my heart. And may we all live from our heart. Well, this one was an emotional one because I know there's so much suffering in so many different levels, even within ourselves, that are people that are watching this. But may we use wisdom. May we use wisdom. May we use temperance, balance, equanimity. May we fight in love for justice through love. May we know that everyone has the capability to go to the higher consciousness. Know that everyone has the capability to learn. And may we have the courage to practice this every day. Thank you for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me. I'd love to know your feedback if you ever want to get in touch with me. Oops, let me go over here, put up my banners. You can get in touch with me at centeredmoment.com. I'm going to throw that up right here. Or you message me through Facebook or YouTube. May we all practice love, higher consciousness. Start in the morning. Practice in the morning, practice during the day, practice at night, and then practice the next day. It's a practice for the rest of your life to see the good and the love within yourself and within others. I want to thank New Thought Media Network for giving us this opportunity, and I want to thank you all who have joined me. And I want to thank Wayne for giving me so much good feedback. And my parents and Trudy and Shay and all the other people who come and support me. I love you all very much. Next week, I won't be on because I'm actually flying to the East Coast to see my brother retire from the Marine Corps. And I want you to know he's in charge of non-lethal weapons for the Marine Corps and for everyone else. I'm sad that he's retiring from such a great job. May we have a lot more non-lethal weapons. That's exactly what we need in the Middle East right now. So civilians do not get killed. So may people embrace. I'd like to think we don't have to have weapons at all. But if we have to have them, may we have non-lethal weapons. So I want to shout out to my brother. Good job promoting non-lethal weapons around the world. And I'll be back the following week. Love to you all. Thank you. I got it. Bye.